What's up guys, welcome back to the channel, welcome back to another video. And for today's video, once again, I'm just making myself some dinner. And I'm actually doing something, well, for my dinner, but I'm going to be doing a product that people have kind of asked me about more recently, some friends, and I'm going to be making shrimp. Now this is just going to be one of many ways to do shrimp. It's just kind of a quick, easy recipe you can do on any day of the week. The prep time is pretty minimal, so once again, it's quick, it's easy to do. And I'm going to kind of show you in this video like my whole dinner process. I'm going to be pairing it with some pasta later on, so I'll show you that quickly. But the main focus of today is the shrimp. So in just a second here, I'll show you everything I have on the counter, and I'll show you how we're going to get through this. So as you can see, here we have our shrimp. And just to show you really what I mean when I say it's super simple for what we're doing. So of course, we have the shrimp, and for the marinade, I have some cilantro here, some lemon. We're going to be using the zest and the juice, a little bit of sesame oil, and then of course some salt and pepper. It's on the counter right now, but I'm going to be using some salt and pepper. And that's pretty much it that you need for the actual seasoning of the shrimp. And then when we cook it, we'll have a little bit of olive oil in the pan. But yeah, you can see again, guys, super simple, and this is all we're going to do. So to start off with the shrimp, as you can probably tell, most of them I already have peeled here. I left the tails on just because I'm going to be having them as a bit of a side dish, so they're just easier to pick up, and they don't quite fall apart or shrink as much. But in case you gotta never peel the shrimp, it's really easy. Usually when you get them from the grocery store like this, they already come kind of pre-cut and with the vein taken out. So all you have to do is just basically find a sweet spot, and it comes off that easily. Just kind of get your fingers in behind the shell, peel it off, make sure you take the legs off, and then again, I like to keep the tails on, but if you want to go ahead and take the tails off, you would just go ahead and pull the tail off. So once again, just to show, right, you just kind of peel the skin back there, or I guess the shell, sorry, not the skin, back all the way around, making sure not to pull the tail off. And there you go. There's your peeled shrimp. So once we have that done, we're just going to go ahead, dump all of our shrimp into a bowl here. Of course, make sure you don't have any kind of straggler shells. Once you have all your shrimp peeled, and I should also mention as well, typically your shrimp is going to come from the grocery store frozen, so obviously you want to let it defrost for a little while before, and then in some cases you want to give it just a quick rinse just to make sure that if any dirt or anything kind of stuck on them in the packaging process, that's all rinsed away so that you have a nice clean product to start working with. Yeah, so our shrimp's in the bowl, and then we're going to go ahead and we can start with the seasoning. So once again, I have cilantro here. You can use parsley if you prefer. I know some people either love cilantro or really hate it. I've never met someone who's kind of in between. So if you're not a fan of cilantro, go ahead and use parsley. I'm using the cilantro here just because I like the actual bite of flavor that it gives. So you can see I've just taken a small bunch of cilantro here. You don't really need much. This is less than a pound of shrimp. So just take your small little bundle of cilantro. Take it off of your whole kind of bunch. Make sure you wash it to get all the dirt and stuff out of it, and then just kind of bunch it up on your cutting board. And honestly, you can just kind of rough chop it. If you want to go small, you can go small, but you just want to kind of rough chop it up like this. And don't worry if you see some stems in there. You know, if it's the stems that the leaves are on, they're pretty small, they're okay to eat. If they're the bigger stems from the bottom, they're still okay, but you have to chop them a little bit finer. So yeah, really, that's all you want to do. Again, I might go a little bit finer off camera, but that's basically it. Just chop up your cilantro, and then you can go ahead and get it into your pan. Okay, guys, so you can see here I've chopped up my cilantro. It's a little bit smaller, so just kind of bunch it up, and then shoot it right into the bowl with your shrimp. Make sure you get it all off the knife. It likes to stick a little bit, so obviously be careful of your fingers, but just kind of scrape it off. You know, scrape down the board as much as you can. You want to make sure you don't leave anything behind. And then the next thing we're going to do is the lemon. Now, I mentioned you want to have the zest from the lemon and the juice. So to go ahead and zest, there's two ways you can do it. You can use a box grater like this if you have it, and you kind of want to use the small side on the back. Of course, the big side is more for cheese. The small side you can use for zesting, or if you guys have a microplane, you can use this. I prefer to use the microplane. It's just a little bit easier to control in your hand, but either one is going to work just fine if you don't have one at home. So for the zest, all you want to do is just lightly kind of glide the lemon or lime or orange across the microplane. You don't want to push really hard because you're just trying to get off that kind of fine layer of yellow skin. You don't want to get into the white stuff because it's really bitter and isn't going to taste good at all. So just gently zest your lemon, again your lemon, your lime, your orange on the microplane, turning every little bit so you get all the nice yellow flesh off. And you'll notice with the microplane, some of it likes to stick in the bottom. So just go ahead, tap it on your bowl, scrape it all down. And then if you miss some, you can always go back and finish it off. But that's about enough zest. For this amount of shrimp, the zest from one lemon is going to work just fine. And then the next thing we want to do is get the juice out of our lemon. Now, you may have seen a lot of times people rolling citrus fruits like this, and that's basically just to kind of help get the juices flowing, kind of loosen everything up, so when you squeeze it, everything actually comes out of whatever you're squeezing. So go ahead, roll it gently, cut it in half. If you have a little strainer, get a little strainer so you can catch the seeds, and just go ahead and squeeze out the juice from the lemon. If you're not a huge fan of lemon flavor, only use one side. But I'm going to use two just because you can't really go wrong with adding in some lemon. After that, we're going to grab our sesame oil. And sesame oil is one of those things that's really strong, so you don't want a lot in there. So especially for this little amount, I'm just going to go in with a small hit. That's enough, and honestly guys, that little bit of sesame oil is going to be enough to give flavor for everything. Even if you're doing something big, like you have 4 pounds of shrimp, a little bit of sesame oil goes a long way. So then once you have our lemon juice and everything in there, just go ahead, get in there with some salt and pepper, just a little bit of each. Alright, then either bowl toss it or just get your hands in there, kind of toss everything together. And the one thing to keep in mind with marinade like this, guys, is that this is something that you want to do quickly and pretty much cook right away. Unlike in past videos where I've said, do it, let it sit for maybe a day or two. You don't want to let it sit in the acid because eventually the acid is going to actually start to cook the shrimp. And if you let it sit for too long, your shrimp's going to be basically cooked. And then when you go to throw it into your pan, your oven, your stove, whatever, to actually cook it with heat, it can actually lead to overcooking the shrimp and making not a great product. So just kind of give it a quick toss. Let it sit in here for about maybe 5 minutes before you cook it. But yeah, this is one thing you don't want to let sit for 24 hours. Do it up, let it sit for a couple minutes, and then go ahead, cook it up right away. Alright guys, so as I mentioned, our shrimp is over here in the bowl, just kind of chilling out for a few minutes, and we're going to start with our pasta. Now, I've already filled a pot with water and put it on so it's at a boil, which is something you guys want to do first because later on the shrimp doesn't take that much time to cook. So have your pasta water boiling. You can see there it's busy, it's boiling away. And now for my dinner tonight, I'm just using fettuccine, but you guys can use whatever your favorite pasta noodle is. There's really no right or wrong way to do this. So just kind of break up the fettuccine ever so slightly in your hands if you are going to be doing this method, just so that the water can get in and loosen it up a little bit better. Just kind of break it apart gently in your hand, get it into your water, and give it a stir right away so that it starts to break up. And really at this point, you just want to keep an eye on it. If the water starts to get too much of a boil, turn it down a little bit. But pretty much in about 10 minutes, your pasta should be done. So in the meantime, once you have this going after a couple minutes, you can go ahead and start to cook your shrimp, and everything should be ready at right around the same time. If you have a sauce going as well, make sure you're heating that up at the same time as the pasta and the shrimp, because honestly the shrimp is the last thing you want to cook because it's going to take the least amount of cooking time. Okay guys, and just one thing of note, I'm using white sauce or an Alfredo sauce for my pasta tonight, and that's typically something you want to pair with the shrimp as I've seasoned it here with the citrus, because of course the white sauce and Alfredo sauce is a little bit kind of creamier, thicker, and heavier, so having the citrus based kind of seafood in it is going to help kind of break it down a little bit and give it a little bit of extra flavor when you toss it in with your pasta, as opposed to if you use a tomato sauce, which is already kind of acidy because of the acid in the tomatoes. You typically don't want to do that if you're going to have this kind of citrus marinated shrimp. If you want to use a tomato sauce for shrimp or really any kind of seafood, I would recommend just putting it directly into the sauce, as the acid and everything in the tomato sauce is already going to help to break down the flavor of the shrimp. But yeah, once again, Any kind of citrus-based seafood or any kind of food really pairs better with a cream sauce than does a tomato sauce. Alright guys, so now that our pasta is on and cooking, our sauce is heating up slowly, our shrimp has been marinating here for a few minutes. So since those are going and they'll be done soon, it's time to hit the shrimp. So I've turned my pan on here. You can see it's on a high heat. My flame's going crazy, so I'm going to turn it down ever so slightly. So not quite on high, but just kind of just under the full setting. And then I'm going to let it heat the pan for just a minute here. And then as I mentioned before, I'm going to go in with some olive oil. Now, I'm using the garlic oil that I made previously. You might remember from the tomato sauce video. So this is where I said in that video that it comes in handy later on. And I'm only really using the garlic olive oil right now because I don't currently in my house have any either garlic paste or raw garlic to cut up. And I want a bit of the garlic flavor in there. So using a little bit of the garlic oil like this gives the shrimp that extra kind of little hit of flavor. So just you don't need a lot of oil. Get your pan heating up. Just put enough to kind of coat the bottom of your pan a little bit. Kind of swirl it around if you have to. And then grab your wooden spoon or spatula and go in with the shrimp. Now, if you can, you want to hold back the sauce initially and just get the shrimp in there. The sauce, the marinated liquid is going to go in later, but you want the shrimp to kind of cook on their own first before getting the sauce in. So just kind of feed your shrimp into there, being aware of keeping the liquid in the bowl for now. If some gets in, that's fine. So there you go. Feed your shrimp in there. Start to move them around in the pan right away. And honestly, you guys, these don't take very long to cook, so you want to get them in the pan initially on that high heat. And then I would say turn them down, keep stirring them, and then you're going to start to see pretty quickly they're going to start turning this nice pink color. So you want them to all kind of be that pink color, not too light, not too dark. So once they all get to about that color, you know they're good to take off. So again, just kind of keep your heat on high to start. Let them cook a little bit. And then once they're all starting to get that little kind of that pink stage, then you're going to go ahead and put the rest of your liquid in. So I'm going to let these cook for a minute and then I'll come back to show you what they're going to look like. So it's been a couple minutes, a couple seconds for you guys. But you can see everything's starting to go pink. I turned my heat up a little bit because I turned it down slightly too much. So you can see everyone's starting to get that kind of nice pink coloration on them. And then at this point, you want to go ahead and... Oh, I forgot a shrimp in there too. See, look at that. So at this point, you want to go ahead and actually add in the rest of your marinade liquid. And then just, honestly, let your shrimp chill off for a little bit. That liquid in there is going to reduce down a little bit. It's making the flavors come out a bit more. But at this point, if you can, kind of flatten out your shrimp in the pan. And let them chill out in the liquid. Because at this point, you can see our pasta is nearly done. My sauce is heating up. So while I turn my heat down on the shrimp, here I'm going to just turn it down to a low simmer for now. I'm going to let them chill out for a couple minutes, and then if that's going to allow me enough time to have my pasta drained out, I'm going to toss it in the sauce directly, and then by the time I'm finished with that, the shrimp should be done, and you can start eating. Okay, so I'm just about ready to strain off the pasta, but just to give you guys a quick demonstration so you can see, the good thing with kind of the store-bought ones is they don't really take that long to cook. So it's been probably about 7 minutes total, and you can see our pasta is nice and soft. If I kind of squish it with my fingers, even though it's hot, it's kind of nice and soft, but without breaking, and that's really where you want it to be. Especially because I'm now going to strain it out, I'm going to toss it in the sauce, and the heat from everything is going to keep cooking it. So you want your pasta to be a little bit soft to the touch, but not so soft that when you touch it, it completely disintegrates. And one other thing to mention, guys, it is store-bought pasta, but it is store-bought fresh pasta. So it's the kind of thing, if you're going to buy it and use it at home, either buy it, use it right away, or if you're going to keep it in the fridge for a couple days. But just remember that the fresh pasta doesn't have quite as long a shelf life as kind of your typical box of dry pasta. So next step, strain it. I'm going to come over here. I already have my strainer set up in the sink, and we're just going to gently pour it out, let all the liquid come out, make sure you get all the noodles. If the liquid starts to build up in the strainer, just hold off for a second, let it drain out. Go ahead, drain everything off. Right, and then just kind of pick up your strainer, shake it out. Now you always want to leave a little bit of the pasta water, just because the extra starch in there is going to help the pasta not stick to each other so much, and kind of sometimes the extra starch in the pasta water will help to thicken up your sauce if it's not quite there. Yeah, so pasta is strained. I've been kind of just gently warming up my sauce at the back. So really quickly before everything cools out, take your sauce, pour it all over your pasta. Make sure you scrape out everything in your, scrape out all the sauce. Right, yes, I left some in there behind. Don't worry, I'll go back and get it all out later. And then just go ahead and gently stir up your pasta. And then if you're not quite ready to eat yet, stick a lid on it. But if you're ready to go, then at this point just give it a gentle stir. Make sure your pasta doesn't really stick together that much. So if you need to, gently kind of lift it up so the sauce gets evenly coated. And this is another good way to keep the water in there so that your pasta doesn't all just kind of dry up and shrink back together right away. So heat that up. And you can see on the side here, after a couple minutes as well, my shrimps are boiling away. They're pretty much done. And at this point, guys, your shrimp's pretty much done. But at this point, if you want, maybe take one or two out, try a couple and just see. Does it need some more salt? Does it need some more pepper? Any more seasoning? If it does, add a little bit more in. Mine's fine right now, so I'm not going to add any more. People can add some later. But it's at this stage, if you have any final seasoning, go ahead and do that. But pretty much, my shrimp is done. Now, if you want to, you could go ahead and toss it in the pasta. I'm not going to right now personally, just because I like to have it on the side. But at this stage, if you wanted to, you could take your whole thing of shrimp, dump it right off into your pasta. Bob's your uncle. But yeah, at this point, guys, that's pretty much it. I think I'll throw in maybe a small clip afterwards of what it looks like kind of on the plate. I just have some peas and broccoli on the side as well. But yeah, I'll show you that quick clip here at the end, guys. But that's pretty much going to do it for this video. If you enjoyed it, please give it a big thumbs up. Remember to subscribe to the channel. And maybe like I did with the last video, I'll leave kind of all the ingredients in the description below in case maybe you missed something in the video. You can go back there and look and see exactly everything that I used in this process, and then go back and watch the video, follow along, and hope you guys have a great shrimp dinner for yourselves one day. Alright guys, and just for a little bit of fun, I'll show you what this looks like, the final product. So I'm just going to throw a few broccolis on the side here. Go in with your pasta, get a nice decent amount on there. There you go. Okay, get some pasta on the side like so, and then go in with your shrimps. Now I don't have a whole lot here, so I'm just going to go in with a little spoonful or so of shrimp. And you might notice in the pan here, just from sitting a little bit, that the sauce is thickened up a little nicely. So I'm just going to kind of scrape some of that on there, leaving some for others. And yeah, I know it's kind of small, but there you go, guys. That's basically what it looks like. And then, of course, to top everything off, some nice freshly grated Parmesan on the pasta. And you can throw some more on the cheese and the broccoli. And boom, there you go. There's your finished plate. So yeah, once again, guys, if you enjoyed the video, please give a big thumbs up. Remember to subscribe, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye.